start again. It's a redskin.
What's going on, Panther Nation? It's your man C. Dougie here with another episode of Blitz Talk. We are using the green screen. We are not home. We're out with the fiance, with the fam for Easter weekend. So definitely pull up on us. We got a special guest joining us tonight, Jared Feinberg from the Panthers Wire. You also know him from Twitter/X. So we have final thoughts. The draft is literally here in 7 days, people. We don't have to wait anymore. No more mock drafts. No more figure out which players we're going to do. Top 30 visits have concluded. It's just time to definitely welcome your new players to the Carolina Panthers. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and bring our guest on. We already told you who's already joining us tonight. So let's go ahead and bring on Jared so he can tell the people what's up. How you feeling tonight, Jared?
I'm feeling good, man. It's good to be on. Ready to talk Panthers football. Man, we're a week away from the draft. As of right now, it will be less than 1 week away from the NFL draft. I mean, it's been a very interesting process for the Carolina Panthers, and a lot of teams across the league. There are no massive trades currently being predicted early on. Like, every team has their first round draft pick this year. So far, it's a very unique draft, to say the least.
Jared saying the Wi-Fi acting.
You good? We have some technical difficulties here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to keep the show going for you guys real quick. But, one of the things I love about this year's draft is kind of the unpredictability of who's going to be like the guys that stand out outside the top blue chip players, outside of Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. And I would even say Mason Graham. Some people will even say Ashton Jency. There is so much unpredictability after those guys because of the varying opinions of this draft class. So that's kind of what I'll discuss throughout the rest of this show with Dougie. Hopefully we can get some technical difficulties sorted out, but I'm going to do my best to keep the show running as much as I can. But one thing I love is that there's so many varying opinions among draft analysts, among fans, among teams about who these guys are going to be, or more so who are going to be the superstars that come out of this draft.
Correct.
Who are going to be the guys that develop as big time starters in this league. Daniel Jeremiah, earlier in this process, NFL draft analyst for NFL Network, said that this is a starters draft. You're going to have a chance to add a lot of starters to your roster in this draft. And that's why I think trading back for Carolina should be a top option. And Dan Morgan kind of discussed it a little bit, Dougie, about potentially trading back. He kind of even hinted that if they get stuck at number 8, they'll look to try and trade back. And if not, there's a chance they may have to reach. But I think they have the player they want to get at number 8. And we'll talk about it more as we go on. So I hope the technical difficulties are
We're
all
good.
sorted out. My guy,
We're good. I
Good.
appreciate
All
it,
right.
Jared. I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely.
I already know that's Nakari messing with me in the car. We did have technical difficulties, but we are up. I appreciate Jared holding it down. But again, this is another episode, 7 days away, man. Jared and I definitely been trying to work with getting this live together to actually do a. We were supposed to do our last mock draft last week, but shout out to one Carolina that joined us last week. We were able to have fun, but Jared was like, "Oh, Doug, I want to do this before the draft. We're gonna do it right here, man." So before we get into it, let's go ahead and take care of household business with shouting out our sponsor at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is your number one stop shop to get any ticket from concert, basketball, football, baseball, college sports. For first-time users, you get $20 off when you use the code What's Up Doug. Again, shout out to our sponsor over here, What's Up Doug. That is SeatGeek, where first-time users are able to get $20 off their first ticket purchase. So also, we're giving money away tonight to our members. If you are a member at What's Up Doug, we're doing a members giveaway at the end. Once Jared and myself do our final mock draft, we will be doing our members only giveaway. If you want a membership, we will drop the link in the chat so you can grab one of those memberships. We are giving back to the people tonight. Let's go ahead and pull up our member slide. So far, shout out to Mr. Honky Dory. They gave some memberships away. Shout out to my co-host, Uncle Quan, that also gave out some memberships. Again, we are doing a members-only membership tonight to conclude the live. And if you want in on that, you have to be a member, not a subscriber at What's Up Doug. So that's it, Jared. Like I said, I've been waiting for the draft. Also, we do have members-only content that came out this week. Shout out to my guy, Taj Brooks, that did an interview with us. And shout out to Alex as well over at the Shot Observer. If you have not checked out those videos, definitely check them out on the channel as well. But again, the draft is here. I think everybody's burned out with everything that we've been talking about. I think everybody's just ready. It's showtime. It's really nothing else to talk about. It's like, who are we getting at 8? Are we trading back? What's the draft compensation that we're going to get when we trade back? We all have our favorites with prospects, but I don't really think anybody can really be mad at how the way we go about it when it comes to this draft. So you want to go ahead and get into the prospects? You want to talk about day one, or you got one more comment you want to get into before we start talking?
Let's dive in, man. I'm ready to get this thing going.
All right. So shout out to Jared. Jared gave me some players that he wanted to talk about day one prospects. As we know, Mikael Williams and Jalen Walker had their pro day type deal today. Everybody's always talking about Bryson, another weapon. You have Ted McMillan. Shamir Stewart is a wild card, depending with his metrics, how people view him. Then you have Jahid Campbell. Most people think he's better than Jalen Walker, what he brings, because we know he's a true linebacker. He's not that hybrid type deal. Then you got Donovan Azaruku out of Boston College, Walter Nolan, who's one of my other favorites, and Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina. So, Jared, go right at it. Like I said, I'll pull the slide back up if you want me to go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, man. If you go ahead and put the slide back up, let's start with Jalen Walker. I think that's the guy that the Panthers have kind of narrowed on as their potential selection at number 8. Walker is this chess piece type of player that teams will gravitate to, because not only is his tape really fun, he's also a great human being off the field. He's a local prospect from Salisbury, North Carolina. This is a player that's lined up at linebacker, lined up as an outside edge rusher. Like, he disrupted the offense in any way, shape, or form as a second level or even first level defender. And he's unique in the way that he's not super long. He's a smaller player, especially if you consider him an edge rusher. But he is also a player that you should be really excited about, especially for a Panthers defense that has lacked that disruptiveness at the point of attack, that disruptiveness in the passing game and the run game. Whenever you watch Jalen Walker, you just see a player that is a game wrecker. And he's one of the several prospects on this list that there are some question marks with his game, as some of the question marks I mentioned. But for me, Walker is listed as an edge rusher. He's going to be my number 2 edge rusher for this draft. But I think the way you need to utilize Walker is basically move him around the second level and the defensive front. Not necessarily, hey, you need to put your hand in the dirt at a 3 or 4 eye tech and go after the pass rusher. No. Use him like Georgia did, but utilize him more as a pass rusher, lining up at the edge, but don't keep him there consistently. Move him around like kind of quasi Frankie Louvu, but I think Louvu was more of a true second level defender, whereas Walker projects better as a true rush linebacker. So Walker's another intriguing option. Mykel Williams is another possibility. I would say even a trade back scenario, Williams is a possibility. Great size, great athleticism. He's fairly productive, great run defender, growing pass rusher overall. This is a guy that just gets after it as a player, and he is currently listed inside my top 5. He is currently edge number 4 on my board. This is a player that I think the Panthers were or have interest in, but I do think that Walker really emphasizes what they want to do defensively, and they love the creativity defensively. Jero Evero, before he came to Carolina, was known for that creativity
at Denver
as a defensive coordinator. And I think he's still known for that, even with all the struggles they've had the last 2 years, especially last year. But Williams is a player that I like as a possibility. He is not my first option. Donovan Ezeraku is certainly another player that has a lot of fans, one of the best pure pass rushers in this draft. I think he's a sufficient run defender. I don't think he's a great one, but it's sufficient enough to where I think Carolina is going to be focusing more on that pure pass rush ability instead of someone that's just going to be a pure run stopper. So there's a chance that, and look, they do have interest potentially in Shamar Stewart. They definitely have interest in Mykel Williams, 2 players that don't have a ton of elite production. And I'm higher on Stewart than a lot of people. I have him as my number 3 edge rusher in this class, and he's currently my number. Let me look at it here. He's currently my 17th ranked prospect on my big board, which does come out this weekend for Sports Illustrated. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out on that when it comes out here later this weekend.
Hey, hold on, Jared. Let me real quick. I got to do this because chat. We got people watching on 2 platforms. Now, this is my mistake. I know people like, Doug, you never made a mistake, but I'm not home. But I'm not, again, we're going to have a good show. I'm not synced to the YouTube chat, so I'm going to read the chat from the YouTube side. We can see it on the X side, but not the YouTube side. So let me go ahead and shout some people out real quick, Jared. I'm going to pass it back over to you. Red Swarm, Uncle Swarm, I appreciate you, man. He said, let's go. My partner, Panthers, Uncle Quan, he said, let's get it. Eternally, Malachi Starr still be a Panther. Twan Don, the 704 Charlotte Bound Show, definitely said, yo, what's going on? Then you got FPFO, Dylan. Definitely shout out to those guys. Again, if you are over on X, they have a plethora of Panther content creators battling it out for the best mock draft right now, starting on tomorrow. Definitely shout out again to FPFO for setting that up. If I'm not mistaken, we have four different groups, A through D, battling out. And again, shout out to those guys setting that up for you, the people, Panther Nation, to definitely enjoy a mock draft right before the actual mock draft, to enjoy battling out who will take the crown this year. Let me see. Red Swarm
I'm kind of keeping up with the YouTube chat too, so
yeah, I appreciate that too.
Phone, reading some of the questions.
Red Swarm said, "Look at the Polo kid. Niece got the boy looking big old Kool-Aid smile. Shout out to Aunt." And Twan said, "Everything's good. Appreciate that." Kevin Hubbard said, "Panther Nation, baby. I'm ready for some football." Then Uncle Quan said, "Smash that like button." Mr. Hunky Dory said, "The word stuck really stood out, and threw a lot of smoke in such a simple way." We'll talk about that too as well. Then let me go ahead and play our member song real quick. And a shout out to my brother, my co-host, Uncle Quan. Hey,
with the hot plate,
man. So I definitely appreciate him for that, man. I see you, like I said, Jared, everybody love that little song we got. So again, like I said, we are doing a members giveaway tonight. So if you want to grab a membership, we will drop the link in the chat for you if you want to grab one. But Uncle Quan gave 10 of you guys that membership. Definitely shout out my brother Uncle Quan and let him know you appreciate it. Let me see what else we got. Sloan Slam said, Carolina line, I would think of Keekly. I agree with that. Zaire said, Jalen Walker is an undersized DN, though. We'll get into that. Monet, what's going on, my guy? And then Miss Anki Dory said, last thing, said, the one advantage of having Walker is that you do not know if it's going to be a blitz or not. Hybrids are dangerous. So, Jared, let's go ahead and get into it. Again, if I do have the chat up. So if you want to send a super chat or if you want to go on X, definitely just let us know. We'll read it out. And again, once I pass it to Jared, I'll drop the link if you want to get your own membership. So for me, whenever Dan Morgan said the word stuck, shout out to Alex Ziglo over at Charlotte Observer. We did an interview with him after the press. You can check that out also on the channel. I think Dan kind of got overzealous and said too much, but you really don't know because we don't know how the board is going to go. You definitely know Cam Ward is going number one. You don't know what the Cleveland Browns are doing after that. They can either go Shador Sanders, regardless of all the smoke screens with that, or they can go out. They can go outdo Carter. So then you had Travis Hunter as well sitting there. Then number 3, are the Giants going to wait to get their quarterback in the second round, or they're going to get him being Shador Sanders in the first? The good thing about it with us is we sit in front of our division foe, the New Orleans Saints, who need a quarterback. I'm not mad, and I honestly think Dan Morgan, knowing the conversation that's probably going on in our front office, that, hey, we can really capitalize right here of trading back, which we need. He's always said that you build through the draft, and we know we don't have enough draft capital to actually fit our defense and fits the team just with the 9 picks that we have right now. And if he wants to get super aggressive from 8 to 57, why not sit there and trade back and get more draft capital to actually build up to get back in between round 1 and 2. So for me, the word stuck, it did kind of like, it's like worst case scenario. If nobody trades back with us, are we going to gamble, get a Jalen Walker? I'm not opposed to Walter Nolan. I know people say, Doug, that's too high for Walter Nolan. But me personally, looking at what he brings, I would love Walter Nolan to be a Panther. It just depends on where we end up drafting at 8, and I really hope we trade back to the Twins. So I'll pass it off to you, Jared.
And yeah, and one of the things that, Dan Morgan did bring up, of course, of trading back, and I want to kind of bring a point on this. This feels like a draft where teams aren't really going to be super aggressive to try and trade up. If Shador starts to fall, that's another thing. But when you think of a starters draft like this is this year, I think those day 2 picks will come at a premium. So you got to wonder which teams are going to be aggressive. Are they going to be more so those postseason teams, those teams looking to improve and are just close enough to taste the postseason? You could see some of those teams trading up. I could see San Francisco moving up if they feel like, hey, we had a down year. We had to make some adjustments with our roster, but we are still a talented team that can get to the postseason. I could see San Francisco moving up. I could see Dallas moving up if they want to be aggressive. And, I do want to preface that if Carolina feels like they have their player at 8, they're going to pick at 8. And they're not going to worry about that length of time between number 8 and 57. Personally, I think after a certain player we've talked about who's currently probably my number 1 choice at number 8, it's then a trade back. I think trading back should be the second option on their board. And it seems like it's coming down to Walker or a trade back. Right. And the tea leaves have been there probably for the last few months. I think we're just now starting to kind of understand, okay, this team really likes Jalen Walker, and they're not going to hide that fact that they love Walker. But then you run the risk of, oh gosh, a team where Walker is no longer available, and you may not have that team there to trade back with. So now you got to reach. So which players could be possibilities in that regard? One of the things that I will say is if there's a player on the board that I would take that I wouldn't say is really reaching, I would love Jahad Campbell at 8. I do think, look, everyone's going to say, oh, linebacker's too early for number 8. Jahad Campbell is worth the number 8 overall pick. He is currently my number 8 overall prospect on my board. This is a player that can be more of that fixing piece or that much needed piece in the middle of your defense, especially at the second level, who can showcase his range, who can make tackles in space, who can rush the passer as well, who can also drop down in coverage very well. He has good ball skills. He's just an all-around great player, the true definition of a modern day linebacker. That's Jahad Campbell. So that's one of the players I'm excited about. In a trade down, I think Shamar Stewart could be a possibility. And I want to talk about Ted McMillan. Terrio McMillan, I've been boisterous of my reservations with McMillan. I think they are fair. That doesn't mean that I don't like him as a prospect. I think he's a quality prospect in this draft. Last year, he would have graded higher than Brian Thomas Jr. for me. But I didn't view Thomas as a top 10 overall prospect. And I don't think McMillan is necessarily that type of talent. But I do understand that if you believe in that ceiling, draft him. If you're trading back and McMillan is still there, draft him. Like, that's a playmaker you can draft in the teens. I'm a little hesitant of drafting someone that high in the first 10 picks. That's just me. But I wouldn't be opposed to it in general. But the way I'm seeing what Carolina's doing right now, it's either Walker trading back or they're going to have to take a player that they weren't really expecting to take.
Correct.
There's always that chance that Mason Graham could be on the board.
Whoa! Because that's that was one of my first. Hold on, let me read some comments and we're gonna get right into it. Shout out to Zaire Kiffa. He said, "Shout out to what's up, Doug. I like your analytics, man. Salute to you, Supernova. More salute to Quan. Eternal 25 said Drake, London, Mike Evans, Chris Olave torched us. We need secondary. Hold on. We need to go top secondary 24 on his way to Carolina." So I'm trying to figure out who he's talking about with 24. Super Nova said, "Good evening, fellas."
Don't worry. That's who he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Eternal 25 said the only way I like the Walker pick is if we get Andrew Makuba from Texas. I want starts in Warrior, Makuba, or Johnson. This Dory said Tech is 15 between 25 first round pick, not a top 10. So real quick before you go on Mason Graham, I think where we'll know if Mason Graham goes will be what Jacksonville does. And I heard something throughout the week that there's a possibility that they could draft Ted McMillan. I will be shocked if the Jacksonville Jaguars, I will be totally shocked if they get Ted McMillan.
And I write for Jags Wire, and shout out to my editor, John Shipley of Jaguars on SI. He and I have been talking about this for the last several weeks, last couple months as I joined SI. And when we're looking at the Jags pick, that I feel like in some ways the draft kind of starts at number 5, especially for Carolina, because what the Jaguars do at number 5 kind of dictates what could happen for Carolina at 8. But then you run into a possibility of not only Mason Graham being available, but if he goes, what happens if Abdul Carter falls? There's that possibility too, because I don't see the fit with the Giants, especially when they have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. So you have a good pass rush room in New York already. And I'm all for adding more elite talent to that room and making that pass rush room for New York just absurd. But Carter, I don't think he'd be a fit with the Giants. I could see him starting to tumble a little bit, especially when the Raiders have some quality edge talent, Malcolm Kuntz and also Max Crosby, of course. And then the Jets, they could be a possibility, but they have some quality rushers as well.
I think they're going to take Warren. I think they're going to take Warren. And I'm throwing my head out there. I will be shocked. Either it'll be Tyler Warren or it'll be the offensive tackle for Missouri for the Jets. Because again, for me, the draft starts, and I think the Jaguars pick at 5, right? Yep. I honestly think the draft starts at 5. If Shedeur Sanders goes top 5, that helps Carolina because, again, you just made a point of Abdul Carter's possibly falling. Then if Abdul Carter falls, then where's Mason Graham again? The Jets don't need Mason Graham, but they can use him. So for me, it's more like don't turn your TV on at the beginning because, you already know, again, what's going to happen 1 through 3. Again, I think the real action of the draft next Thursday is going to be right when Jacksonville's on the clock because that's going to decide if Dan Morgan's going to be on that phone right away, meaning that are we taking Jalen Walker? And then I know a lot of people are kind of throwing their blinkers on. None of our representatives were at that pro day today. And I seen that prior. Go ahead.
So I will say I'm not concerned about that because they have already voiced their excitement for Walker. They know enough about Walker. They have enough information on Walker. I think teams wanted just to kind of see Walker move around. But I think Carolina already has a grip of what Walker is where they're like, we don't have to be here. And that was the way for several teams that I don't think showed up for Walker's or workout today. So I'm not too concerned about it. I think, and Joe Person put out a tweet earlier saying like, hey, Carolina was in draft meetings today. They had scheduled draft meetings. They weren't going to be at the pro day anyway. So it's something I'm not overly concerned about, especially when they've already had him in for a local visit. They expressed their excitement throughout the Senior Bowl, throughout the Combine. This is just someone that is going to be high on Carolina's board no matter what. Now, correct. The situation becomes if Carter is there at 8 and they have to pick between Carter and Walker, I think it's Carter. Of course, it should be
absolutely.
Carter. Yeah.
It should be Abdul Carter.
But let me bring up another scenario. This could get funky. You go and it goes like this. Cam Ward at 1, Travis Hunter at 2, Shedeur Sanders at 3, Armand Membo at 4 to the Patriots. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville goes Ashton Genty. Then the Raiders go with Will Campbell or Will Johnson, one of those two. And the Jets take Tyler Warren. Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, available at number 8.
All right, so what you doing? I have my answer. What you gonna do?
It's based on my board. It's splitting hairs because Graham and Carter are separated by a decimal point for me on my board. I think what Carolina has been interested in for most of this draft has been pure pass rush ability. And while Graham would be an exceptional addition to the defensive line room and an already pretty solid group of defensive linemen, Carter would be the pick there. And I could see someone, and Graham would be probably the pick for New Orleans at 9, if I had to guess. So you could see that possibility come into play next week. But what's the likelihood of that? I don't think that's a true possibility.
Scenario.
To be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I agree with you again. For me, okay, so like I said, these are our final thoughts. So my final thought would be right now with how I think the draft is going to go. Is Jalen Walker a trade back? I honestly think that, and I think the more that I'm coming to that my bit board that I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna check off for myself. I'm not opposed of is it Donovan Araku out of Boston College. I love his production. He is undersized, but we had an undersized D lineman here that wasn't the same height and stature of a Brian Burns, and that's Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick killed when he was here at Carolina. Again, Jalen Walker is a hybrid, and the thing that scares me with hybrid players is we had a hybrid player here at Carolina. He did not play. He did not touch the field, and that was Jeremy Chin. When we had Jeremy Chin here, he literally said, oh, I do X, Y, and Z for Jeremy Chin. When did we see Jeremy Chin? Other than with somebody being hurt, that's the only time you ever saw Jeremy Chin. So for me, I want a player that's in a box. And I wasn't going to use that term, but Dan Morgan said that he didn't want to be in a box. But when I look at it, you need a person with Evero's type of scheme that's actually going to do his job. Because I don't think Evero can use a player that has different traits. It has to be that player can do it. Your job is the pass rush. I don't want you doing anything else. He can't use somebody that can be flexible or be versatile in the scheme that we have. So for me, also, I'll throw another name out there, and I'll pull our slide back up. Nick Warry. I did Nick Warry in the trade. I was able to get Nick Warry, and I think I was able to get Prince. Prince. I can't think of his name from Ole Miss.
I know who you're talking about. It's hard to pronounce. I still struggle to pronounce his last name.
But yes, that's what I was doing. So for me, safety is a big need. And I really think we really need a safety. Malachi Starks, love him to death. I think he's the number one safety. But me personally, if there's a way for us to trade back, get Nick Warry, go get Princely, or you go get a Braden Swanson, I am fine with that. Again, there's options for us to not be boxed in. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we make the right pick. And we're going to talk about the pressure meter here before we go in our mock draft. So give me two of your prospects for day one before we go into day two that you really think we're harking down on, Jared.
I'm trying to decide if I want to share this or not. One of them is, let me look at my board.
And then while you're looking at your board, I'm going to read a couple of comments. House of Nicholas said, what's good, Doug? Much appreciated on the membership. Keep grinding, doing your thing. Shout out to Uncle Quan. That's my co-host that gave you that membership. So definitely shout out Uncle Quan. Bloody said, wait, how does Carter ever fall to 8? Uncle Quan said, take Carter ASAP. Bloody, I'll do Carter every time. Uncle Quan again said, I think this offseason solidified our interior. We need those edges. Bloody came back and said, there isn't a player in this draft I wouldn't take over Carter. Mr. Hunky Dory then said, how far back do we trade? Is it 20-ish too far or just right? What is a good position? I'll answer that right before Jared just his take on the prospect. And so for me, 20 is right at the standpoint for me. I think that's not too far. And if you're talking 20, you're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers because I think that's the Steelers, the Chargers area. 17 is the Cincinnati Bengals. But for me, I'm okay with it being right there at the 20 in range. I think it's not bad. It just depends on what draft compensation we get. And I'm looking at a 3-for-1 or 2-for-1. Go ahead, Jared.
So I've kind of narrowed down who I think should be the picks at 2. Assuming there's no trade back, I think it'll come down to Shamar Stewart, and then this. I wrote this down 3 weeks ago. So Jalen Walker, I think he's going to be the pick at 8. I think that's what will end up happening. I've been kind of like, do I share this? Do I not? Wait until the mock draft. I was like, whatever. It's that's who I've kind of narrowed in on at number 8 is Jalen Walker. I think he's the type of player they've been looking for to be that disruptor on the defensive side of the ball for quite some time. So I'm hoping that's the pick. He's probably my top choice at the moment, outside of Carter and Graham. But yeah, Walker and Shamar Stewart are my choices at number 8, or even in a trade back.
Okay. All right, hold on. Hey, we got to play our song Mr. Honky Dory just gave. We just got another 5 memberships given out.
Doug cooking up. Doug. What's up?
Man.
Doug with the hot plate. What's up?
Look, between my dog, I call my dog, I won't call my dog, but between my brother, Uncle Quan, they have given so many memberships to my channel, and I definitely have to do something. Uncle Quan, you already know I got you, man. And again, I'll say he already put it out. Shout out to my little brother, man. He about to be a dad, man. We're gonna take care of that care package. I ain't gonna tell him what I already got in store for him, but they're just he gonna be stoked. Trust me, he already know I got him. But Miss Honky Dory, you have given so much love to the channel, man. I appreciate you giving those memberships again. We are doing a members only giveaway at the end of the live, so you definitely want to stick around. It will be members only. That will be on the spinner wheel, and we're giving out 2 cash apps tonight. I ain't gonna tell you how much, but we're giving 2 cash apps out tonight. So, and like I said, if you want to grab one, definitely hit the link in the chat. I already dropped it there if you want to grab one. So again, I appreciate Miss Honky Dory and my brother Uncle Quan. Go ahead and passing out those memberships.
There's a comment on here that
which one?
I want to acknowledge from YouTube.
Bloody.
He draft Shamar Stewart. Yeah. Twitter's going to explode. He's totally right. Twitter's going to be insane. Like, the group chat I'm in is going to be in shambles. The entire timeline is going to be just one Dan Morgan fired. They're going to want Dave Canellis fired. There's no hope with the team. It's all over. For me personally, I'd be pretty excited because I'm higher on Stewart as a player and what he could become outside of that A&M defense that was so complex that didn't really have enough opportunities to really get after it as pass rusher. But I know people have their reservations. I'm going to let them have their reservations. And Stewart, again, he's not my true top choice, but realistically, I think it comes down to Walker and Stewart, where Walker ends up the pick. But let's get ready for day 2 of the draft. There's some intriguing talent in rounds 2 and 3 that I'm really excited about. That I think Carolina's going to have plenty of options to choose from, especially if they do decide to trade back at the first round, garner some more day 2 capital. You're in a spot to get some quality players, potential starters on both sides of the ball if you want to. So let's get after it.
All right. Day 2. We highlighted Jalen Noel out of Iowa State and Xavier Watts. We'll talk about the reason why we came up with highlighting those 2 players. Then you have Carson, I don't even know how to Swessinger out of UCLA, Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina, Cal Kennard out of South Carolina, Braden Swanson out of LSU, Princely out of Ole Miss, Fimu Alajaro, I know I probably butchered his name, out of UCLA, and Ashton Jalot out of Louisville. So we highlighted wide receiver and safety because, again, if Jalen Walker is taken, what possible – it's either going to be wide receiver or I think safety for that pick number 57 outside of us trading back. And I'm going to go ahead and pull Jared and myself back up. So for me, it's a lot of names up there. Braden Swanson out of LSU. Again, if we go safety, I'm doing that as a trade back. I love that. Cal Kennard, I think everybody jumped on the Cal Kennard train. Soon as mock drafts came out based off his physique. He's not a project, and that's no slouch to you saying Shamar Stewart, but we actually know exactly what he can do with production. Then you look at it as Xavier Watts. Xavier Watts is a option if we go Jalen Walker. Jalen Noel is one of the wide receivers that we brought in for a top 30 visit, and I think his visit was more legit than Ted McMillan. I think Ted McMillan was just, let's get him in the building. Let's all when I say this, bring him in, let's put him on the board. Let's see what he does with film, how he feels about film, because that was a whole thing of him not wanting to watch film earlier in his college years. So for me, there's a lot of options, like you said, in day 2, where there's going to be starters and there's going to be people that we need production out of. I really think out of our 9 picks, we at least need to bring in 3 to 4 starters that start out from the gate, regardless of what veterans are on this team.
Mm-hmm. And looking at my board too, and looking at some of the players we looked at as well, there's going to be options for Carolina at edge rusher, at wide receiver. I would even throw in a tight end potentially. If they really feel like they could go a tight end, I would bring up Mason Graham or Elijah Arroyo from Miami, Taylor from LSU, to the son of NFL Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. Mm-hmm. This is a good group, good crop of day 2 prospects. Jalen Noel, I think, would be a favorite at either 57 or 74. He's a very explosive capacity type of player that's just going to give you that explosiveness at wide receiver that Carolina currently lacks. And he can line up on the perimeter, line up in the slot. He's just going to be a weapon for you, kind of just that vertical, that run after catch weapon that Carolina has lacked for the last couple of years. Braden Swinson's a favorite of mine. Princely Umanamelian is going to be someone that I'm intrigued with. He is somewhat of a little bit of a project as a run defender, but there are some pass rush. There is definitely pass rush ability that will allow him to be a rush specialist early in his career, especially with Carolina. If he were to be a selection here, Landon Jackson could be a possibility as well.
Arkansas, right?
I mean, just he's got tree trunks for arms, man.
Yeah,
the insane size from Jackson. I think he's probably, if you're going to draft Jackson, he can line up as a stand-up edge, but he can also reduce inside and play with his hand in the dirt if you need him to. But Swinson, Noel, Watts, Schlesinger, he's one of my favorite players in this draft. And when I watched him, I was like, man, like this sounds stereotypical, but the way he plays sometimes reminds me of Luke. And funny thing is, Schlesinger trains or has had Luke Kuechly train him. Like he's been working out with Luke Kuechly. So there is that connection there. There's like, oh, that makes sense why his tape looks insane. He's not the biggest linebacker. He's not going to take on contact as well as you would like it in some instances, but he's always around the football, always making plays. Great coverage defender as well. He can get after the quarterback if you need him to. He is my favorite at 57. And of course, one of my favorite players. Another name, Xavier Watts. I think if Carolina's looking for that production on the back end, Watts would be that true free safety that they're looking for to match with Trayvon Moorick in that safety room and kind of have that true, all right, we have a specific player for this role. We have a specific player for that role. That safety room is brand new. It looks good. It looks intriguing. Let's hope it works out. But Watts brings 13 career interceptions, 7 interceptions in 2023, 6 interceptions this past season. He is a productive ball hawk who is just always around the football.
With Trayvon Moore being in the box, that's the type of safety you need. That's that ball hawking since he's really close to the box.
Absolutely. And I'll even mention that cornerback, Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. I'll even throw out Trey Amos. If he's there at 57, he could be a possibility. I wouldn't rule out a defensive lineman at 57 or 74. But there's a lot of options that Carolina can go with. Jaden Higgins, shout out to my guy Ricky Raines. Big fan of his. Currently, Wiggins is, let me get it up here. He's currently my number 5 receiver in this class behind guys like Egbuka, Golden, McMillan, Burden, you name it. Like, this is a quality playmaker who will be a true starting X receiver at the next level. I don't know if he will be there at 57. If he is, I'm running the pick in if Schlesinger is off the board. Let me just preface that.
Correct.
But there's plenty of options for Carolina to choose from in day 2. I'm really excited what the possibilities are there. There's so much.
It goes off of day one. It goes off of day one. It really depends on how day one goes, what position we do, or if we trade back. Real quick, let me read some chats, and then we're gonna get back into it. Bloody Den said, if we don't go edge day one, I love Princely in the second. Dylan from FPFO said Jalen Noel. Bloody said Noel is my favorite day two wide receiver. Zaire Kefi said Cal Kennard was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. To get him in day two would be a steal. Rich Farron, if Carolina takes Tech in round one, I think they take this in round two. Big fight was going on my end. Eternal 25 said, what hell, no Watts, are you high? Yeah. Then FPFO Dylan said, damn, I didn't know Watts had that kind of production. Then Mr. Honky Dory said, now last year we had a problem with shoulder tackling. I want people who tackle by wrapping up or physical slow down the ball holder till help comes. And we will have that in a Tyree Moore, and if it depends on what type of safety we get, but I think tackling will be addressed. If you look at every player that we brought in, they don't have a bad tackling rate. They don't have a bad tackling rate at all. And I'm talking about free agents. And then Eternal 25 said 35 touchdowns in our secondary last year. Correct. We need a safety. Yeah. So go ahead.
Eternal Jared. Here is like, what? Eternal. What? I need to know, like, what do you not like about Watts? Like, here's my take on Watts. You're not going to ask him to consistently come down and defend the run all the time. And I do have issues with Watts against the run, but I would want Watts on my football team strictly in the coverage realm, where he can affect you on the back end with his elite range and with his elite ball production. That's the type of player I want on the back end. I think at some point he's going to have to defend the run, of course, but it's not going to be you're rotating him into the box and having him defend the alley. That's not the player Watts is going to be asked to be in Carolina. He's going to be asked to roam that second or roam that third level, that deep post. He's going to be asked to do that, not necessarily he's not a developmental piece. I don't see a developmental piece with Watts.
I'll give you that line. Watts come in, probably solo tackles 50. That's just solo 50. 5 picks, 7 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles. Are you okay with that production as for a rookie?
What were the interceptions?
5.
That's terrific. I mean, if you get that from Watts, that's defensive rookie of the year numbers.
Correct.
And Eternal, come on, man. I need you to explain what's the hate with Watts. I get if
I guess hold on, Jared, let's do this. Eternal. Yeah. Do you want Nick Emenwari, Watts, Makuba, or Sanker? And while we wait on that, then we can see what player he wants. Because if he wants Nick Emenwari, I'm fine with that. But again, like I said, Nick Emenwari would be a trade back. It would not be at 8.
One thing I will say about Emenwari is that I don't know if he has the true range of a free safety. I think he is definitely someone that's going to play more to the second level and someone that's going to really bring some stuff to the run game. And also he has some ball production, but I have concerns with how high hipped he is or how high framed he is as a safety. So his transitions tend to be a little tight, and that could be concerning, especially if he's covering a ton of green grass on the back end. So that's kind of the question marks I think Carolina may be having with Emenwari is, can you defend that deep post? Can you defend that back end, as well as other guys like Starks or Watts or Makuba? I would love Makuba in round 2 or in the second round or in the third round. I think Makuba, he could come down and play the slot and off coverage. He would be a nice fit in Carolina. It would be nice to continue to add that Longhorns prospect tree that's kind of developing here in Carolina, where you already have Brooks and already have Jadavian Sanders. So this is a player I like, but he is currently my safety 3. Watts is actually my number 2 safety in this class.
Well, we got the answer, Jared. We got the answer. So let me read it. He said, if we trade back, I'm going starts. If we go Walker, I'm getting Makuba in the second. If all else fails, I just get Billy Bowman the third. With the third or fourth, just give up hope. And then Dylan asked us to talk about Sanker. So the problem that I have with Billy Bowman is tackling. And we can pull it up when we do our mock draft. He's great, but he's a poor tackler. He's a poor tackler and he's undersized. If you look at all the safeties with size, Nicky Manwari, Xavier Watts, and Sanker are the taller bits of the safeties that we want. Mm-hmm. For me, Sanker will be if you go outside linebacker, DN, wide receiver, linebacker, and interior between rounds 1 and 3 going into the 4th round. I think Sanker is right around that 4, low 3rd, high 4 range of a safety. So for me, he's not my top safety. The only reason why I'm really talking about Sanker is because we brought him in for top 30 visits. Again, we can do fantasy mock draft right now, but it's really time to harken down because we'll be close to we'll be picking or we already made our pick right now. So you already know what path we're going with round 1 going into day 2. So for me, I like Malachi Starks. I'm all over it, but again, if we trade back and Malachi is there, I'm absolutely with you, Eternal. Take Malachi Starks. If you trade back and you're in the tweens of 7, like I said, my range is 14 between 20. That's 6 picks right there. If we trade back and Malachi Starks is still on the board and you're able to double up a pick to even get back in the 1st round or beginning of day 2 on Friday, I'm all for it. So again, I love Malachi Starks, but being realistic, I think Nicky Manwari would be there. But I also see the path what you say in Malachi Starks.
Yeah. Speaking of Sanker, let's get into those day 3 picks.
All right, hold on. Let me read real quick. Red Swarm said, I'm really happy to have you guys break these players now. I've been researching a lot of these same players. Eternal said, we need day 1 starters. Like I said, I agree with that. D Cash, salute. Eternal said, did y'all see how Drake London caught that touchdown and hit to Allen Iverson? Okay. Miss Ankidori said Bowman would be a good rotational piece, but not a starter. He needs coaching and some protein shakes. Yeah, Uncle Corin said you already know. He was saying giving somebody a membership. So again, before we go into day 3, man, we have Jared from the Panthers Wire. You guys also know him on X. He does spaces on X. He wanted to come up, give you guys final thoughts. Again, we're going to do a mock draft as well. Final mock draft here at What's Up, Doug. Also kind of sort of get some of those top 100 from Jared so you guys can possibly see what he's hearing, ear to the street in Charlotte, knowing kind of sort of what the Panthers are doing. Also, again, shout out to our members, our new members as well. Again, we're doing a member giveaway to close out, getting ready for football season. Football is back. You got UFL. You have the draft next week, and then OTA start the following month. So just giving a little bit of love back to our members here. What's up, Doug? You guys have definitely been showing love in the chat. Again, if you have a question for us, definitely write it in the chat. If you want to give a super chat, give a super chat as well. But also don't forget to hit the like button, the share button, and subscribe if you're new over here as well, man. So let's go ahead and get into day 3. Day 3, we have RJ Harvey highlighted, Terrence Ferguson, and we kind of set you guys up with the Billy Bowman Jr. So we do have him on here, but there's a reason why we have him on here as well. Then you have Jared Lane out of Virginia Tech, Jordan Sanker out of Virginia, big Cam Jackson out of Florida, Jacquees Hunter out of Auburn, and Ollie Gordon II out of Oklahoma State. For me, I definitely think we're gonna get a tight end. It's not gonna be Tyler Warren. I think we are gonna wait to get that tight end later down in the draft. Between RJ Harvey, Jacquees Hunter, and Ollie Gordon, I will want Ollie Gordon. Reason why I want Ollie Gordon is because of the physique. He reminds me, again, I've said this since I met the young man. He reminds me of Najee Harris. The body type, again, if you know what Najee Harris is a physical type back. We don't have that physical from height to weight back on this team. And then if you look at Cam Jackson, I think from his standpoint of size, that's what 6'6". You can't teach size, and I think he's over 340.
Monster.
You can't teach that. So for me, I do think we are going to get a running back possibly in day 3. Again, this all depends. Right now, we're going with the picks that we have. Those 9. Let me make sure I put it right. Those 9 picks that we got right now, that's what we're going off of. But when it comes to trading back, I think we'll have more options. So go ahead and pull the slide for you. Go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, so let's talk about I kind of want to talk about Billy Bowman and Jonas Sanker real quick. These are 2 safeties that Carolina has shown to have some interest in. Sanker is someone that's a very smart defender. He's got great football acumen, and he's going to be a versatile defender. He's going to come down, play in the box. He's going to play big nickel. He's going to play split safety. Sometimes he had some reps at single high. This is a good athlete with good length. He's going to be someone that Carolina wants to look at, especially with his special teams background. And I think it's important that after probably the first couple picks for Carolina, they're going to be looking at guys that have some special teams background. Are they going to be able to make an impact on special teams? Bowman and Sanker both bring that impact. Bowman's someone that's going to be a ball hawk. He is elite ball production, 11 interceptions in the last 3 seasons. He has a good feel and good vision for route combinations and route concepts that are coming in front of him. Than anything, he's not an elite athlete per se, but this is a player that I've enjoyed watching on film that can come in and just make plays on the defensive end of the ball. And look, I get some of the reservations with Bowman. He's not super explosive. He's doesn't have the elite size you want, but he's simply a baller. And that for me, and with the intangibles he has as well off the field, this is a guy I really like. I kind of have my synopsis of him kind of more so of a developmental starting free safety at the next level with nickel versatility and cover 3 systems. That sort of fits what Carolina needs at the moment. And then some fans may not be encouraged by developmental talent or developmental starter, but this is someone that's going to be on the field within the next couple years, like full-time on the field. He's going to be an immediate contributor at the very least. I think if Carolina still decides to go after Julian Blackmon, Bowman would be a nice possibility as a free safety on the back end, or even that number 3 safety that can come downhill or play in the box as that big nickel, or even as a true nickel defender. And let's go over to the backfield that Carolina had, or that they kind of need as an RB3. I know they brought back Raheem Blackshear, but that's going to be more so they're adding more talent, more so depth as well for training camp. I don't think Blackshear is going to make the roster, since I believe Carolina will likely carry 3 running backs for this season. He'll likely be more so a practice squad guy, or even off or on a new team as their kick return ace. Yeah. So Gordon is someone I like, physical running back. Like we saw the season he had a couple of seasons ago with Oklahoma State. This was a unanimous All-American 2 years ago. The play kind of teetered down a little bit. I think it's just because Oklahoma State was not great at all. They went 3-9. But he doesn't have elite start-stop ability. He doesn't have true creativity as a runner, but he is explosive once he gets to the second level. He can run through defenders. He'll use his pass and just play physical, especially in short yardage. So, and also he has some really impressive ball skills. at the cash point. So that's something to be intrigued about as well. RJ Harvey would be an option, especially during the middle portions of the draft. You get initial explosiveness. He's very creative as a runner. You're going to get some decent ball skills from him as well. Devin Neal's a possibility. Terrence Ferguson is an intriguing tight end prospect that I think could develop into a starter down the line, and kind of give Carolina a young running back or young tight end room with Ferguson and Sanders. As Trimble's, sure, he's on a 2-year deal, but he's essentially more so on a 1-year deal. Cam Jackson, then of course, just a monster in the middle for Florida. He's don't get him confused with the 400-pounder Desmond Watson. Jackson is someone that's gonna defend the run really well. That's what he's going to be great at the next level. He'll be a nice developmental depth piece for Carolina, good part of the rotation at nose tackle as well. So that's someone I'm intrigued about for Carolina in day 3, and they did bring him in for a visit. So
correct,
someone to kind of keep an eye on during the 3rd day of the draft.
Jalen, hold on real quick.
Go ahead.
We're gonna read some chat, and then we got a question from Mr. Honky Dory. Eternal said, "I don't care who we get as long as we hit the playoffs this year. We'll be back with that after the draft. We will do kind of sort of the state of the Carolina Panthers based off the rosters. So stay tuned for that after the draft." And he said, "What is the less you guys think the Demetrius Knight from South Carolina will go?" I would say he will be day 2, round 2 or 3. What else? Then we have Eternal said, I will get Cal Williams day 3. Okay. Sync and Review, shout out to you, man. Definitely appreciate you pulling up. Then Carolina's armchair GM, the big brother, CJ pulling up, man. Yeah, you late. Yeah, you're late. But then Mr. Ankidori asked a question. A question never asked, who do you fear being drafted in the first 3 rounds? Names that make you tremble. So I've never had this question being asked. And again, that's our first super chat. Shout out to Miss Honky Dory. Again, if you want to ask us a question, definitely write it in the comments. It can be a super chat. It can be just a regular comment. We will read it off tonight, man. Again, this is our final thoughts for the NFL draft. I will be mad if Carolina gets an offensive tackle in round 1. That's number 1 for me. We don't need a tackle right away. Running back, we do not need Alshon Genty either. And I will be upset if we get Tyler Warren. I'm just being honest. Again, there's tight ends throughout the draft that you do not have to reach and go get a freaking Tyler Warren in round 1. If he falls some way in day 2, by all means, go get him, because I don't understand how he falls through 32 teams. But I'll say any offensive tackle, Tyler Warren or Genty, I do not want right now in day 1.
Sorry, my internet's a bit funky.
No, you good, Jared?
Yeah. So I want to answer that question real quick. I don't prefer taking an offensive tackle at 8. I certainly not my first choice, but I was kind of looking at my board. I was like, who's really a player that I'm just not going to be excited about? I don't think Carolina should take a running back in the first 3 rounds. I know they brought in Travion Henderson for a visit, but it could be an indication he could fall to day 3. We'll see. He is my number 2 running back, and if he does land, or if he does fall to round or to day 3, that's an easy pick 111 selection for me for Carolina. I'm just kind of looking at the board here. Yeah, more so a running back and maybe an offensive tackle early. But other than that, I'm not too concerned with who they may select. Most of the selections would make plenty of sense. I want to talk about offensive tackle real quick. There are a few players that I would not mind Carolina taking. It's more so I think if they're looking to draft an offensive tackle, it could be more so back into day 3 or at 74. I would look at Ozzie Trapilo from Boston College, Cameron Williams from Texas, Chase London from UConn, and Logan Brown from Kansas. Those are guys that can be more so developmental talents. I'll say Marcus Bowe from Purdue. That's another potential possibility if the Panthers want to go in that direction at offensive tackle. Those are guys that are developmental pieces that can start after if Taylor Moton does not return after the 2025 season. Those are possibilities, but there's a lot of possibilities for Carolina at offensive tackle. I'll even bring up Emory Jones. He was previously hyped up as this top prospect probably around this time last year with LSU, but of course, like inconsistencies happened. His stock tumbled drastically. I think he would be a nice little day 3 piece to potentially acquire at right tackle. He can also reduce inside and play right guard if you need him to. So you have some versatility and some depth there along the right side of the offensive line. But Carolina's going to have some options in day 3. One more player I want to bring up, Jalen Lane. Jalen Lane is another explosive player that Carolina could use. He's currently my wide receiver 17, but he brings some good separation quickness. He's a solid route runner. Of course, he brings that explosiveness that he can create in the open field, and he brings special teams value as a return man in the punt or kick return game. So that's a player I think Carolina should target. They did bring him in for a visit, if I'm not mistaken, or a local visit. Yeah. So Lane's definitely a possibility for Carolina in day 3. But I would say this about visits, about top 30 visits. And while they seem important for Carolina in regards to like the past where they have taken players from their top 30 visits or even had interest in the Senior Bowl, maybe they buck the trend a little bit and take someone that they didn't bring in for a top 30 visit, because if they do, they probably have fewer questions about him, whether it's off the field or him as a player or just his intangibles overall. That's why they haven't really brought in Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland for visits, because they're that clean off the field. Same thing with Mason Graham and Abdul Carter. And I get that Carter and Graham are most likely not going to be available at 8, but I think they would be over the moon if they were available at 8, and it would just be if 1 to 2 were available there. But just kind of keep an eye on the top 30 visits, but also keep an eye on other prospects throughout the draft, because they may not have a ton of questions for other guys that may fit their system who they haven't exactly publicly been shown to be talking to overall. So kind of keep that in mind next weekend.
All right, real quick, we got a couple of questions. Shout out to my guy Bleezo. Bleezo got the guy. That's why I called him over there in Japan, man. Army Brad, definitely appreciate you pulling up, man.
Love our troops.
Yes, sir. Carolina's armchair GM, CJ got a question for you, Jared. And we got a couple other questions in the chat. And again, if you have a question, write it in the chat. It can be a super chat, whatever. We're going to do a couple of questions. Then we're going to do into our mock draft, and then we're going to end it with our giveaway. So CJ asks, how does Jared feel about the Panthers doubling down on the edge position?
Good question. I wouldn't mind it. I think Carolina should at least attempt it, because I think they do plan on targeting an edge rusher with their first 2 picks. One of those picks will be an edge rusher. But I think they also, with one of their 4th or 5th round picks, should at least look at adding another one, maybe more so a developmental talent that can come in and you can grow behind guys that are likely to be free agents after this season. Jadeveon Clowney and DJ Wanham, those guys aren't going to be around much longer. So, or potentially not much longer. So you got to think about the future. Think about maybe player development there as well. Quay Robinson from Alabama.
Yes.
He is someone I would love to see them try and go after as a developmental piece. There's plenty of options at edge rusher in this draft. Just looking at my board here. Xavier Jones from LSU, Fadil Diggs, David Walker, Oladejo could be a day 2 selection. I could see him in day 3 as well. Try and look down the list here. Kamani Rucker from UNC. Powell.
Oh, you already know. I know my Tar Heels. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had to. I had to at some point.
He got a high motor. He's undersized, but has a high motor. Has a very high motor.
Oh, yeah. Like that. The dude, he competes. And anytime I watched North Carolina last year, like he just stood out consistently with just the insane amount of effort he brought on every play. Like that stands out to teams. That's what gravitates teams towards taking players like that. He may not be a true starter down the line, but he's going to be a contributor at some point, and especially on special teams. So that's someone that Carolina could go after if they want to break the trend of not taking a Clemson player. Barrett Carter is a possibility at linebacker. I would love him as a developmental option. At tight end, Jake Brennan-Sewell, if they want to go in that direction as well. At tight end, there's a lot of potential day 3 options for Carolina to choose from. They have most of their draft capital comes in day 3. So they could use that draft capital to move up in day 2 if they wanted to. So that's something to keep in mind. Maybe even for this mock draft, we may try to explore that option, but we'll see how things go on that front. One thing I will say is if Carolina really wants to go after a deep group, safety's a deep group, edge, defensive line. I think they'll take a defensive lineman at some point. Deion Walker was thrown out there as a top 30 visit. JJ Bagias, Jordan Phillips, CJ West, brought up Jackson, Ty Hamilton from Ohio State, Ty Robinson from Nebraska, Zeke Biggers. I love
Ty Robinson. Ty Robinson, I think, he sits almost close to 300 pounds as well, too.
Yeah. And he stood out at the Senior Bowl, which kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. So out of the players, so I'm going to end up with, mostly my top 50, top 100 players are done in terms of evaluations. I still have some more to do, but I think I'm going to have the most players on my board in 3 or 4 years, probably closer to 175, which I'm impressed with personally. But Carolina's going to have their options at certain positions. It's just going to be a matter.
There's going to be a plethora of which direction we go into.
Yeah.
So look, hold on, Jared. I got another question for you. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna go into, because I forgot our pressure meter slide. So shout out to my future brother-in-law. He said, "Do you believe that and that's whose studio I'm in? You might hear him in the background." So do you believe that Bryce Young can lead the Panthers to a chip? Is he the franchise quarterback? So before we answer that one, hold on. Let's go ahead and do the pressure meter. So I threw this one in a loop to Jared. He just told me the prospects. I said I'm a pressure meter. So with that, it says questionable draft picks last year / building the roster of depth. Evero scheme, not a great fit. Can he put the players in the right position? Year 3 incoming for an NFL record of 6-24, and I think I might add it too. So I think it's 6-22, but still that's not a great record. Building off the second half of the 2024 season. So meaning I think these 3 individuals on the screen, outside of David Temper, have the most pressure on him or on them. So for me, I do think Bryce Young is our franchise. Regardless of how you feel about it, I think the franchise was divided from day one when it came between CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. That's when the train was split. We were all on the same track. One went left, one went right. And with the way that Bryce Young has performed so far, I think a lot of people have given up on him from day one or the first year seeing CJ Stroud go to the playoffs. Then we fast forward to year 2. I was in New Orleans, sold the rest of my tickets that I did purchase after seeing that beatdown in New Orleans week 1. Didn't give up on Bryce, but I just said I can't have my eyes be in a stadium to see that. Never stopped watching games, but being in person, I couldn't do it. Then we came back home with the Chargers, and you saw what he was able to do. Honestly, for me, I think Bryce didn't trust Dave Canales, and he didn't trust his teammates. You get hit 62 times your rookie year. They build the offensive line. I think he went back to his old tendencies before he came back when we played Denver. Once you look at what he did from the second half of the season to those final 4 games, I think you had your franchise quarterback. Bryce is over here going with a new aura around him. You actually look at a Jalen Coker who can be a breakout player. You look at Etzel, who was dealing with injuries back and forth throughout the whole season. If he can possession catch and body catch, that helps him as well. Then you go to Rico down, actually help Chuba Hubbard in the backfield, and you can do split option and shotgun that can actually help Bryce, where you don't have to worry about him having the weight of the franchise on his shoulders. And I know people say, oh, well, what do you mean? That's what we drafted him for and traded up draft capital for. So for me, I think Bryce Young is the guy. People just don't like the way that we're utilizing him. He can be a franchise quarterback and be a game manager. He doesn't have to be a superstar. Look at, again, Jalen Hurts was not the leader of that team. It was Saquon Barkley. But whenever it came to the Super Bowl, what was he? He was a game manager that took the opportunity to show everybody that when the weight was on his shoulders, what did he do? They won the Super Bowl. And that does not take away from anything Saquon Barkley did that whole year. So I got to go ahead, Jared. I'll pass it to you.
So I'm going to be higher on Evero heading into the season. I do think that there were some things that didn't work for him, but also I don't think the talent really provided him the opportunity to run the defense he wanted to. Yes, it's inexcusable to give up the most points in NFL history in a single season. It's inexcusable to give up that many rushing yards per game. But you also have to consider the talent they had on the field. They had no depth. They were getting blown off the ball 2-3 yards consistently. They're second level. As soon as guys like Jewell and Wallace started getting hurt, the depth got thin very, very quickly. And especially at cornerback. When we saw J.C. Horn out for the last couple games of the season, that cornerback room was just they were filled with guys that aren't even on rosters right now. And especially in the safety room. Safety room was inconsistent with Xavier Woods and Jordan Fuller. It wasn't a talented room.
Trash. Oh my God. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I can't talk about this defense because every time we talk about this defense, I sat there week 1 and I'm like, Lord have mercy, you got to be kidding me. It was just blatant blown coverages, no communication. I mean, we were doing this all year, bad tackling. But again, yes, Bryce laid an egg. I will say this. Bryce laid an egg week 1.
Yeah.
But whenever you're allowing players to just run through your defense and there's no communication on the back end, we made Derek Carr look like he was the MVP week 1.
And New Orleans ran over Carolina with Derek Brown on the team. And he tore his meniscus during that game. So, I'm glad that Carolina has devoted their effort to put more defensive talent on the field. They still have a ways to go. And they're not going to fill every need in this draft. I don't think that's humanly possible. But they're going to try their best to fill as many needs as they can and work with the roster they have right now. I do think with Morgan, he's going to have to nail this draft, especially outside the first round, where the Panthers have struggled with for the last several years, especially with Scott Fitter. Scott Fitter is really one of the big reasons why Carolina is in this position. Or you can even go back to Matt Rule. You can go back to David Tepper's decision making to hire Matt Rule in the first place, to even keep around Marty Hurney. When they fired Ron Rivera in 2019, they should have gone full clean slate. Matt Rule, a new GM.
Yep.
But instead, it went you went about the whole wrong way. We're just looking back now. It's not great. And I think Tepper's learned from that. I hope he's learned from that. To like we've not heard a peep from him for most of the
that's
offseason.
great.
That's awesome.
What's the old school saying, Jared? Quiet is, no news is good news, right?
Yes.
So not hearing anything all season is good.
And as billionaire owners do, they are in the news because they're doing stuff for foundations, which I think is great. And especially for what David and Nicole were doing a couple weeks ago with, I think it was Greg Olson's foundation.
Yeah,
I think
Greg Olson's foundation.
Yeah, that stuff's great. But stay away from the football personnel side. Let Dave Canales and let Dan Morgan do their thing. Transitioning to Bryce Young. I think he's the franchise quarterback. I think even with whatever weapons he has this year, he can get the job done.
Correct.
And I think now that he's bolstered this confidence, you're going to see the production increase. You're going to see the yardage increase. I think you're going to see a more explosive weapon on offense. I think you're going to see Xavier Legette become the receiver that Carolina has been looking for or has been wanting from him since the draft last year. I'm a big believer in Xavier Legette, and I think he can become a quality playmaker for this team. Expect him to be a big time piece for this offense in 2025. So I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on like saying, hey, Bryce Young's going to lead the Panthers to the Super Bowl. I got to see it this year. I got to see the last 10 games from Bryce Young's season last year, and you see that in a full season's worth of games. I got to see it.
That's all we got to see.
If he performs like he did at the end of last season, this season, the Panthers are a playoff team.
We can win a division. Just look at a couple of games
that
we had.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think that answers it real quick. I seen a comment. Again, it's my mistake. I am not home, people. Most of the time we have the comments up here. What's up, Doug? You guys know that we love interacting with the chat, so I'm bringing the chat off my phone. Somebody said that we don't have our lights up. Again, we don't ask for much over here. What's up, Doug? We just ask that you guys sit back, kick your feet up, enjoy the show. If you have not hit the like button on the YouTube side, please hit the like button for us. That's all I need. It's free. Again, we don't ask for cash apps and all that or super chats. If you send them, we greatly appreciate it. But it's free. Please hit the like button for us, man. Again, we got a great mind on here, Jared from the Panthers Wire over there at Eds. You also heard him. He's doing a top 100 for the Sports Illustrated. Talk about prospects. We're bringing you guys great content, and it's good to show that you guys are enjoying it by just hitting the like button for us. So that's all I need. Please hit the like button. That's all. So, Jared, do you have anything else with the pressure meter before we go in our mock draft?
I think we got everything out of the way. Let's get mocking.
All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's get into it. Let's see. All right, and we are here. Boy, I said, I would jump out the gym about to know is that high. So let's go ahead and recap quick. Again, and I don't believe this. Do you want me to refresh it? Because we can do it we can do it again because I do not think Travis Hunter is going number one.
Yeah, refresh it. I personally keep the randomness kind of just in the middle between public and PFF. I think there's more verity with that.
We just did that, so let's see now. Let's see.
And I just realized I'm being an idiot. I also had the Pro Football Network or Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator, realizing, it's not going to be the same as this one. So disregard that.
You're good. You're good.
Don't focus on this.
All right, so we'll take this. Travis Hunter went 1. Cam Ward went 2. Abdul Carter went 3. Will Campbell went 4. Walter Nolan went, which is surprising, number 5. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that Jahad Barron, and then Mason Graham. We are at the clock on number 8. Are we staying? Do you want to do one? We can just do 1 or 2. You let me know, depending on what time you got. You want to do 1 or 2? Because we can do a trade back, or we can just stay at or stay at 8. It doesn't matter to me, Jared. What you got?
Let's look at what trade offers are there.
All right, so you got the Cowboys at 12.
Ooh, okay.
You got Baltimore at 27, and then you have Buffalo Bills at 30.
Okay. I kind of want to see if they would take a 12, if Dallas would send 12 and 44. If that's going
to be, will.
They will.
They will.
37% chance.
You got something else. You want to give them 111 or 114? We can give them back their 114.
I mean, we could. Let's see what it looks like.
57.
Let's offer, and if they decline, then we'll make the pick.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah. And then Devin as a Rocky went right before, and Ashton Genty went. I'm okay taking Malachi Starks, but then do you want to stay at 44 or you want to move up from 44?
Let's stick at 44 because I do think that there's going to be quality talent available at 44. There's less of a waiting period between 12 and 44, of course. But personally, I think Carolina would go Jalen Walker over Malachi Starks.
Okay.
That's
fine.
And as much as Starks is ranked higher on my board than Walker, but I think I want to go realistically here. I know there are people in here that's going to be like, oh, no, don't. Why are you not taking Starks? We got to be a little bit more realistic. But also, this is a clear indication that if Carolina trades back, they could still land Jalen Walker. And I think that's a key piece to this puzzle. If you're able to still land one of your favorite prospects on your board in a trade back, whether it's Jalen Walker or Ted McMillan, like that's a home run for Carolina. So let's go Jalen Walker here. PFF is going to grade it.
Correct. They're going to do that.
Yeah, who the hell cares? Who the hell cares? All right. Ooh, okay. Scroll down the board a little bit because I know there's going to be some talent here. I love Morrison. I love Winston. Umanellan. Swenson's there. Knight's there. Let me look at my board personally. So you already have an edge rusher off the board.
Correct.
Eternal's already pissed off that I didn't take Starks. So sorry, my guy. So edge rushers are already off the board.
You want me to pull up safety? We can do it by position too.
Yeah, let's look at safety. Let's look at safety real quick because I wonder. Okay, Evan Warren's still available.
He's still there, but again, I think PFF is slouching him with his grade because I think Nick and Ward could be higher. But so that's good that we can possibly get him at 57. So do you want wide receiver? What are you thinking?
I still kind of want to go realistically here.
Correct.
Look at linebacker again. I kind of want to.
All right, no, he's probably there too. Still, yep.
Oh, Schwarzenegger's there.
Yep.
Bless. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. This is the pick at 44. Carson Schwarzenegger. You get your second level figured out. You get your pass rusher in Jalen Walker. You get your young linebacker in Carson Schwarzenegger. This guy's going to be the starting Mike linebacker for Carolina this year.
All right.
If not, or Josie Jewell. So let's go Schwarzenegger here. This is beautiful. This is going perfectly.
Let me see if he's still there. Nope, but Andrew Makuba's there. I'm fine with
Makuba's still there. I wonder if Jalen Noel is still there. I would be psyched about that.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, so we go Makuba, DJ, or you go Noel down and then Makuba later. or get another safety?
Let me look at my board. I kind of want to base this on my board a little bit too.
Eternal, you stopped at right now. I know, again, I was thinking starts, but again, this is more to make sure we're going by our last mock here. Again, we all have favorites, but Jerry has an ear to the ground. That's the reason why we got him on here tonight.
And personally, if it was up to me, Starks is the pick at
correct
8 or 12.
Correct.
Because I think Starks is a top 5 player in this class, but realistically, he's going to be more so in a middle, late first round pick. I disagree with that, but that's how the NFL feels with Malachi Starks. I don't know why, but it is what it is. So,
hey, hold on real quick, Jared. I forgot to shout because I see another person. Shout out to Low from the pregame show. I saw him in the chat earlier. Like I said, my chat, I asked on me. And a shout out to Rap Report Clay over there. Definitely appreciate you pulling up as well, man. Go ahead, Jared. I just had to shout out our Panther content creators that are supporting us tonight, man. So I had to go ahead and give those people those shout outs right there.
Let me ask you something. I did see Siobhan Ravel on the board here. What do you think of him? Do you think he would be a good pick for Carolina at this spot? They need a physical corner. I think he would be great to allow Carolina to maybe play a little bit more press man if they wanted to.
So let me pull up corners, and then so you can see the corners that I actually like that I think we can still get. If we're doing that, I am very high on Jacob Parrish. Very high.
Yeah.
The young man at the 12 Pro Day interview, he's top of the Panthers. Noah Williams was a great shine, great star at the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with Melo Dotson. So if you ask me, I'm okay with any of these three outside Ravel. So that would be me because honestly, I think we'll go Jalen Noel now, and then you can go get Makuba at 74.
Let's go Jalen Noel here.
Okay.
Yeah. You get that explosive element in your offense. You get it done. You're off to a great start with the
he's
strap.
gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Let me see how far he went. He went 65, and then we were right at 74. So 9 picks.
So,
but I still see a couple of top 30 visits that we have here.
Yeah, but would you risk drafting another running back this high?
Nope, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Honestly, what I would do, and I see the chat as well on my phone. Again, they're saying Nathan Ransom. I do like him as well. We didn't bring him in, and Jared said it. Some players we didn't have to bring in for top 30 visits because we kind of already knew what they were. You also can't forget Sanker. Sanker is there at 115, folks. So I know
Billy Bowman's still there too.
Who?
Yeah. Billy Bowman.
Yep. So Billy Bowman's there too. So right now, would you double down? Because here it is right here. Would you double down right here?
Let me look down the board a little bit further.
Okay.
I kind of want to see how.
Oh, here's your future tackle as well too, with Taylor Moton being questioned.
Yeah. Let me see offensive tackles. Let me see like the broad scope because
I like Lane Brown out of Kansas as well.
Bo's there. I would like Bo. I think if Carolina, if I'm Dan Morgan, I see Ezri there at 74, thinking he's probably going to be more so a second round pick. I'd draft him here. I think this is going to be a good spot for Ezri. So you get your future at offensive tackle, or at least at right tackle. Ezri was more of a left tackle in college, but you get someone, but he has the flexibility and the movement skills to transition to the right side of the line. Bo would be nice as well. He's a freak athlete at the position, but Ezri brings the size. I think Carolina's going to look and want that type of size at tackle. Let's go Ezri here and secure depth, but also a potential future starter at right tackle.
So then if we do this, I definitely know we need to get safety because I know they're probably throwing tomatoes at the screen us right now. So
Sanker. Ooh, all right. So Dougie, this is you. This is your pick.
I'll say Sanker.
Bowman. Sanker?
I'll say Sanker.
Yeah.
Because only reason why, again, we'll look at it. Run defense right here is great. Well, it's good, not great, but it's not poor. But then when you pull up Billy Bowman, missed tackles, which is a big thing in Carolina. Again, a lot of people say they want that safety to wrap up. I really think that's what we need as well. We need a safety that does not have any red or any blemishes when it comes to that PFF grade. And again, if you look at Sanker, perfect. I would take Sanker.
Based on my board, I would go Bowman. I'm wrong on that. Sanker is actually graded higher than Bowman. So Sanker for me, I think he has the capabilities of playing on the back end, covering the deep post. I think he has the capabilities there. I like his potential there. I also like his versatility. I think Carolina likes his versatility as well. He could be one of those safeties that really comes along and makes an impact as a day 3 possibility. So let's go Sanker here.
All right.
And now we're at the point of the mock draft where the Panthers have secured some big needs overall. Correct. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. I wonder if Jacob Parrish is available. If Jacob Parrish
he's gone. He's gone. I can definitely tell you he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah. That's a shame. Let's look at the rest of the board because I wonder if a running back could be in play here.
Jaquez Hunter.
Yeah, Jaquez. I like Hunter. I know you and I have talked about Hunter in the DMs. What do you think of? Tell the people what you think of Hunter.
So what I told him is Hunter is that opposite of Chuba Hubbard, meaning that he doesn't have to find a hole, and that's no, slouch to Chuba Hubbard. He's basically gonna find a hole and he can take one all the way to the crib. If you look at his elusive rate, 142, that is one of the highest of all the running backs in this class. He's not big. Again, 5'10", he's very small. He can definitely take a punch.
He's a tough runner too. He can take a punch. And that's a big thing with Hunter is that he brings wiggle. He's physical. He's tough, but he's not Hubbard. He's a nice change of pace back who can also be a reliable check down option in the backfield.
Yep. I can't forget we have Rico Dow, but again, that's a running back that can come in and do some things as well.
And you got to think about the running back room too at the moment. Yep. You always run to that risk of Hubbard maybe potentially seeing a decline. I don't think he declines, but at some point in his new contract, he may start showing signs of that. Dowdle's on a 1-year deal. He'll likely be on a new team next year. And then Jonathan Brooks returns from his torn ACL in 2026. So you got to see what you have in Brooks. So Hunter gives you more control over the next few years, and you don't have to rush him on the field, which is great. So let's go Hunter here. I like Hunter here at 114.
What's going on, Earl Lockler? Oh, you still got. I would take Ty Robinson. I don't know why he's falling again. I'll pull his metrics up. The guy's 6'6", 310. People. Again, that's a different
tall, thick, bowling ball type of defensive lineman, developmental talent. It would be hard to ignore someone like this here. Who can really generate penetration in the run game. He's got some pop in his pads. I would be kind of stoked to see him in Carolina processing blue. So let's go Ty Robinson here.
All right.
Hey, Quentin Ewers is available. Let's take a quarterback.
I'm good. I am good. Malachi Moore, I can't believe he's still that low. I thought he went up. Malachi Moore is a good safety as well, too.
He can play nickel, too, if you need him to.
Correct. Tight end, when you look at a tight end. But I like Connors, and I do like Gatson here as well, too.
Gatson would be nice. I do think they want to value. I think if they draft a tight end, I think they go Haas.
You said which one?
Jackson Haas.
Out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Dude can get after it as a blocker. Like, this is a better version of what we were expecting from Ian Thomas the last 2 years.
That name had to be brought up tonight.
Hey, listen, I had to at some point. You know, I had him on my sticky notes. I was like, hey, I gotta bring up Ian Thomas at some point. Let's try and sneak it in there. But Haas is a dude as a blocker.
260.
Yeah.
They already said tight end 3 right now. That's perfect right now. So he can learn the game. We don't need him to come in and be an immediate impact. So
he can be that when they go 13 personnel, he can be more that wing. He could also be a fullback if you wanted to. So you got opportunities to run 21 personnel as well. So Carolina's got some versatility there with Haas. So let's go Haas here at 163.
All right.
So last pick of the draft, or not last pick of the draft, I could see the
last pick for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Can I throw this out, Jared? Because Eternal beat me to it.
Oh,
this is the kicker I want right now. This is who I want. Shout
you
out to
CJ starter too.
DJ was up with me. I'm glad he was able to see it. When I said Coach Bates was tight at the hip with this young man right here, I know we have a kicker. I will be shocked if he is not picked by the Carolina Panthers if we have an opportunity to draft him. I'm not opposed of free agency, but I want this man to be our kicker. We know how Eddie P. You said a name. I wasn't a big Eddie P. fan. Eddie P's long and gone. I'm glad, and I really think that was hurting us again. We know how many games he's actually cost us. An Atlanta game is one, but I don't talk about it.
I was at that Atlanta game. I was there. I was at that game on the Panthers sideline. I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But I will say this about drafting a kicker.
Go ahead.
7th round, pick 230, perfect. 5th round or early, no. You get fired for that.
Yeah.
I just no. You're the latest I draft a kicker is the 7th round.
I'm okay with it. I mean, that can be going out with a bang.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the chat. I think the chat is doing that as well, talking about us getting a kicker, it looks like.
Yeah. And also, I'll say this. With drafting Jonas Sanker in this mock draft, you're not forcing yourself to start Sanker immediately.
Hold on. Whoa.
Because in this scenario,
Jared,
could be a possibility.
This is the only thing I'm disagreeing with. Hold on. So, hold on. This is the only thing I disagree with you all night. Hold on. So,
you like Sanker that much?
No, it's a person that I do not want to see touch the field right now. So are you telling me Damani Richardson and Trayvon Moore are your starters? Or are you saying Trayvon Moore and Nick Scott are your starters?
I'm saying that they're going to probably look at more adding another safety and free agency.
Okay. I
wasn't saying. I was definitely not saying.
I digress.
I was not saying that. No.
I digress.
I think Sanker would be a good number 3 safety.
Okay.
For Carolina early on, who can provide that special teams value that Nick Scott supposedly brings.
Gotcha.
If they do go out and sign Julian Blackmon, plus
that's what I'm hoping as well.
Like you solved your depth issue at safety.
Correct.
You got yourself a starting free safety.
Correct.
Guy that can play the box, and you look at this draft overall, Carolina's defense has improved drastically in one offseason.
I mean, what do we do with the offensive line in 1 year?
Yeah. So I don't think I think the fact that Carolina wants to improve this defense drastically, and we kind of went after some guys that were top 30 visits. And these guys are guys that should make an impact at the next level in some capacity. So you got yourself a pretty solid draft here.
So are we going with kicker? You want to go ahead and get a kicker so we can see the grade? Okay.
I bet you PFF is just going to grade this in the negatives. It's just going to be.
We're probably get a B. I'm okay with that.
I'm going to say C. I'm going to say C.
Right, let's see. So obviously we got 2 back-to-back D's, which is cool. C for Jalen Noel. Ezra, you got an A. Sanker, you got an A. Hunter, you got a B. Robinson, you got a C. Hayes, you got a C. C plus.
I caught it.
Yep. You called it.
Yeah. Let's go. All right.
You called it, man. So let me stop sharing, and I'll pull it back up.
It's hard. It's not hard to predict PFF mock draft grades. It's absurd sometimes that PFF can just say like, "Oh, this mock draft was really bad," when you're like, "Are you sure? Are you sure about that?"
Correct. Yeah. Hey, yeah, Jared, are you sticking around for the giveaway? You can stay up if you want to while I put the names in.
I honestly have some articles to work on for Sports Illustrated.
All right, so hold on real quick.
Keep on content going.
Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you at. I definitely appreciate you pulling up tonight to definitely,
of course, brother.
Talk final thoughts with us. Again, stick around, everybody. We're not ending the live. Jared just has to go do work. We're about to do this Cash App giveaway for 2 of our members. So Jared, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, you guys can follow me or can find me on X, Threads, and also Blue Sky at J-Rod NFL Draft. You can find my content, my Panthers content over with Panthers Wire, USA Today. You can also find my other content, more so my overall draft content, over with on SI. I do content for the Rams, Chiefs, and Jaguars. So make sure you guys keep up with some of that content. I've shared some positional rankings throughout the week. So you can scroll through my timeline, find those positional rankings. You'll be there are some players that you'll be kind of intrigued with in some of these positional rankings. But this has been fun. I appreciate it, Doug.
Yes, sir. You're right now. I'm gonna hit you up after we end the live, but I hope you had a lot of fun, man. Again, I'll be talking to you throughout the week. I definitely appreciate you pulling up with us, man. So take care. Have a good night, man. Appreciate you, Jared. All right, everybody. So this is the time where if you are a member, I need you to drop a 1 in the chat for me. And let me go ahead and pull up. They on there. That's like I said, I got my brother-in-law and Mrs. Here with us. So again, if you want to be a part of the giveaway tonight, I need you to drop a 1 in the chat. All right, we got D Cash. Or a Lockler. Mr. Honky Dory said LOL. The giveaway will be $50, splitting up between 2 members. So each member will get $25 tonight. I know who D Allen is. Chris Dillard, you have to be a member. If you want to get a membership, I will drop the link in the chat for you. And the memberships are only 99 cents, everybody. So, like I said, we're not going to charge you an arm and a leg just to get a membership. Type the number 1, but you have to be a member. All right, Miss Honky Dory just gave away 5 more memberships. So if you want to get one of those memberships, you better put a 1 in the chat so you can get a membership. Yo, look here, I can't hit this mute button. But you got it. Derek, if you don't shit. Again, we only got 4 people. Again, if you want your name on the spinner wheel, yes, that is, CJ. Yes, that is. Are you a member? Mm-hmm. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Hey, can y'all put in the chat, am I a member? Yes or no?
Is the fiance a member?
Hey,
Yes.
am I a member?
Stop the rap.
All right. See? I'm a member.
CJ said you a member.
Nah.
All right. So, again, we are about to start. When at 9:54, we are going to start. So, again, if you want to be a part of the members giveaway, you have to be a member or grab a membership at the link that we dropped in the chat. But it's Eastern Standard Time because most of them are Eastern Standard.
Say 9 before Eastern, 8 before Central Time.
Look, Mr. Hunky Dory said if I gave you a smooch, he would have gave us 10 more memberships. Again, like I said, we only got 4 people, so hey, 2 of these people about to go ahead and get this $25 a piece. So all right, CJ. Okay, I already know you were gonna do that. I already know you were gonna do that. Clay. I'm gonna put Clay. That's what I call Clay. All right, one more minute. Well, thank you, sweetheart. All right, Austin Wright. Do we have any more takers? Oh, Mr. Honky Dory just gave 10 away. So again, we need people to drop a 1 in the chat if you want to be a part of this giveaway. You better hope you got what you got there. You don't have a membership there. This is for members.
How do you do a membership?
Show him.
Member. I am this is a welcome.
All right, Bleezo. Yeah, her name already in there, CJ. Her name in there. Her name's in there. It's super. You need it. You don't see. Tell him to scroll in the chat where he see my name. What's up, Doug? I put join as a member. Do I need to drop it again?
No.
Here, I do this. No, I'm gonna put your name up there because you're gonna do it.
Oh, thanks.
There it is. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and spin the wheel. If anybody wants to submit their name.
Wait.
Okay, Mr. Hunky Dory said take them out. So Mr. Hunky Dory. CJ, it deserves to be in kindergarten font after what you did yesterday. So that's the reason why I got it in bit font for you.
Give me your card, though. Oh my God.
There, your name up there.
I'm a member.
You gonna become one. You putting it out. I ain't gonna keep these people up.
I'm feeling that right now, bro.
I know. All right, here we go. And when you win, please, it's she. Austin Wright. Boy, I'm about to say, my baby better not win this. DJ Spans, I call him Austin Wright. I know how to get in contact with you, so I'll get your cash out and I'll give it to you through IG. So I'll definitely be reaching out to you. So our first winner of the night is Austin Wright. He also goes by DJ Spins. So congrats on that. All right. If anybody else is a member, put one in chat if you're not up there already. Going once, going twice. All right. Spending for our second $25 for a members giveaway tonight. Derek, your name is up there, sir. Hey, shout out to my brother-in-law. He won the other $25. The giveaway. Again, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. This is not our first and only giveaway. You guys know how we do at What's Up, Doug. I definitely appreciate all the support. Like I said, you guys saw the Miz's a little bit. 2024. We were just traveling and everything, trying to get to see family and all that. But 2025, all gas, no brakes. People that talk to me behind the scenes know that is my saying for 2025. All gas, no brakes. We will not be live for the draft. Please support any Panther content creator next week. I will be at Texas Live and joining with some of our favorite Panther content creators on X. And once we come back, we already have our lineup for post draft content. So again, I appreciate everybody that has joined us tonight. I appreciate Mr. Honky Dory for the memberships. I appreciate my brother, my co-host over here, Uncle Quan. I appreciate the wifey. Go ahead and get in a membership as well. Again, there's more content coming from members only. You do not want to miss out. Again, shout out to my guy, Taj Brooks, that did an exclusive interview for us. It is now just reserved only to members only. Are you going to people up?
Yeah.
But yes, like I said, everybody enjoyed the draft, man. Trust me, we got more in store. I know CJ and I have not talked about it, but we have a project that we're trying to work with. We got to get the kinks out, but there are some things that I think you guys are definitely enjoying that we have behind the scenes. So as he always says, he has 3 things over there at the Carolina's Armchair GM. We have 3 things over here. Everybody stay safe. Everybody stay blessed. Everybody keep pounding. Until next time, again, we appreciate all the love, support. I hope everybody having a good night. Stay safe. Until next time, peace.